that we are live. Apparently we are live. And of course my voice goes. Apparently we are live back here with Polar Bears and Flip Flops with myself, Andrew Lewin, and my co-host, Angelo Villagomez, back from Scotland from the Ocean Science meeting. We are going to talk about that. But first, Angelo, and we're going to talk about fitness. We're going to talk about all the stuff. And he's going to disappear on me live.
I'm going to put my my tartan scarf on.
Nice. Oh, I like it.
Because I was just in Scotland.
I like it.
In Scotland, this is the kind of thing you wear because it's cold.
Very nice.
Oh, well,
very nice.
whatever.
You got to fix your hair on there. Your hair's getting all tangled in there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because what I'm seeing on the computer screen is like half a second behind, and I don't have the hand-eye coordination to fix my hair and the scarf while the video is 1 second behind. But here's my beautiful tartan scarf.
Understood. Yes.
From Scotland.
Yes. From Scotland. Very nice. Very nice. I love it. Look, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about everything. But one thing that we realized this week while you were gone is that tomorrow, February 27th, today's the 26th? Yeah, February 27th is International Polar Bear Day. And I thought it was fitting, we both thought it was fitting, that we cover polar bears, considering our name is Polar Bears and Flip Flops. But one thing I realized today as we were texting back and forth, neither of us know much about polar bears, in all honesty.
Well, I'm American. I mean, we have polar bears in Alaska.
Yeah, polar bears in Alaska. You can't use that as an excuse.
But I'm from tropical America, where we don't have bears.
You don't have bears at all. No bears, on the islands. Yeah. But you've been living on the continental U.S. for how long?
For a long time.
16 years?
Most of my life. I should. Well, the recent.
Half your life?
The recent is 16. Oh, probably more than that.
When did you come over from Saipan?
I've been here most of my life.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you can't. I know. There's no bears in like Washington D.C. or in Florida or in Saipan. So I get that. I understand that. But
actually, do we have polar bears at the zoo? No, I don't think there are polar.
We have polar bears at our zoo, at Toronto Zoo. We have polar bears.
Clearly, your zoo is better than our zoo.
Well, I'm sure some people don't like to hear that polar bears are in a zoo, but they are protected. So
we've got pandas.
Oh yeah, we had pandas for a while. We get them on loan every once in a while, which are always fun to watch. Okay. We had a live cam on the pandas one time at the zoo when they came over, and it was hilarity.
Yeah, I think we've got a live cam too.
Yeah, the way they roll down in the snow and everything, it's awesome. What's that?
Adorable. I just moved my video screen over to here, so I'm actually looking at the camera.
There we go. That's
over here. So
that
it actually looks like normal, like a podcast. Kind of like falling down, like when you go sledding with your kids. Probably kind of looks the same, like a big fat panda just kind of rolling down the hill.
100%. I don't have their flexibility, so it more looks like I look like a board going down the hill, like straight, and then hit the head.
Well, maybe a polar bear.
Maybe a polar bear. I don't know. I feel like a polar bear is probably more flexible than me. Like I'm not very flexible. Like my hamstring is tight, like holding tight, and I feel like if I do anything like that is flexible, I stretch. I do stretch, but it's just tight. Everything's tight. So, but that's okay. Look, we're going to talk about polar bears first, then we're going to get into the conference that you have. I have a conference I'm going to next week in Montreal for the World Ocean Summit. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, what you learned. Yeah, I'm actually going, believe it or not. And so we're going to talk about like what you learned going to the conference that I can use going to this conference. It's not as far, and I'm going to be driving, so that'll be fun. And I'm taking my mom with me, which is going to be fun too. So here we go. Let's talk about polar bears. So here's the thing. Like, I think the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about today was that I think we should talk about is like, you look at like polar bears are pretty much the canary in the coal mine for climate change in a lot of the times, right? Like we hear when climate change, and you hear climate change, polar bears are pretty synopsis, whatever that word is. They go together with climate change because they get affected by climate change. Melting sea ice, they need sea ice to hunt. They depend on sea ice to hunt. So therefore, like, no, sea ice is disappearing. Polar bears need sea ice. Therefore, polar bears are in trouble, right? So that's pretty solid logic here. But the question is, like, are polar bears actually doomed? Like, or is their story more complicated? That's kind of what I want to talk about, because there's the research that came out, Angelo, and I think I sent this to you before, but you've been busy since you got back. and so like there is some stuff that some parts, like some populations of polar bears are not as vulnerable as other populations of polar bears. And I think that's something that makes it confusing for a lot of people, being like, they read an article like that, which is great research, and it's nice to see a little bit of optimism there, but then we're kind of like, well, are they in trouble? Like, are polar bears doomed to to lose the fight, with climate change? So I think it's really good. So there was an article in Svalbard suggesting that polar bears are showing signs of resilience despite significant sea ice loss. So they're not thriving, but they're not unaffected, but adapting to in some sort of measurable way. So, before this gets clipped out of context, and I do the clipping, so I won't be clipping it out of context, but
we'll keep it in context.
Climate change is still like an existential threat to polar bears. There's no doubt about that. It's melting sea ice, and polar bears depend on sea ice to hunt and to rest. Like, if to give it context, polar bears are actually considered a marine mammal. I'm not sure if you knew that, Angela. Like, they're in the water more than. Yeah, well, I mean, I float a little bit, but I'm close to their size. But they can be in the water. They've actually swam up to 700 kilometers. Like, I think that's the record that's been tracked. So 700 kilometers in the water. They've spent 60% of their life in the water, but they do need time to rest because they're air breathers, and they can't just sleep, like marine mammals, like other marine mammals, like whales and dolphins and so forth. So they need time on the ice to rest, but they're out at sea a lot to hunt for seals and hunt for other things. And so they need to have that ice, whether it's pack ice, whether they're ice floats, they need to have that ice. So without that ice, they can be a problem. So even though it's still an existential threat, there are 19 recognized subpopulations across the Arctic, and some are declining, some are stable, and some don't have enough data that we can really go on. But that's not necessarily like doom, like that it's just complexity of populations, and we see this with other species as well, right? So but the thing is like Arctic ice has declined since 1979, like dramatically, according to like satellite monitoring. So summer minimums are shrinking, ice forms later in the fall, breaks up early in the spring. And so for bears that hunt seals on ice platforms, this means like shorter feeding times, like shorter or longer fasting periods. And if you think about the context of what an Arctic looks like, if you're not able to hunt or eat in the water, the land is not that much better. And you're starting to see polar bears actually start to hunt more on land. And things are far between each other. And so it's difficult to actually see if they're going to be able to feed off of something when it's like hundreds of kilometers away, even though they have a really good sense of smell. It's difficult to actually get there and see what's over there by the time they get there to get to feed. So as all this happens, without the ice platforms, without everything, the body condition declines, and they've been documented in several regions. So habitat loss is real, but the speed and regional variability of the habitat loss is really part of this story. So Angela, like, what fascinates me about this is polar bears became like the climate change mascot, the canary in the coal mine.
Yep.
Which means either like A, they're completely doomed, or B, they're totally fine, and proof of climate change is a bit exaggerated. So depending on which corner of the internet you stand on, both of these extremes miss the science, right? And so like enough about all the information that's been passed around with climate change, taking something out of context, or taking something and saying, well, there's this new report that says this polar bear population in Svalbard is going to be fine. Like, what are your thoughts on when and you've seen this in a lot of different policy, not just climate change. What are your thoughts on when things get complicated in ecology, and that has to transfer over to still maintaining a policy or trying to act more like we do on climate change? We're always saying we don't act fast enough. What are your thoughts on this in context of like a polar bear being like this icon?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably so much more complicated than you would even think. You know, like eventually you're going to want to go to some sort of a policymaker, and the policymaker is going to look at you and say, well, what do you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like, so in the American context, you know, in Alaska, do we put it on the endangered species list? For at the international level, are we going to try to list it on CITES? And I forget if it's listed on CITES. I know this is always controversial when it comes up. Um, but then, you know, what is the human relationship to polar bears? I know that people eat polar bears. You know, you want to know how I know that?
How do you know
Uh, I
that?
actually got I actually got in trouble. So more than 10 years ago, 13 years ago or so, the Discovery Channel was writing a story about during Shark Week
Okay.
about a restaurant that was selling Mako shark tacos.
Oh, okay.
And Mako sharks are assessed by IUCN as vulnerable to extinction. And I, being the young smart conservationist, you know, trying to make a connection, to connect with people, to, like, you know, to try to compare it to something else, of like what other species are vulnerable to extinction that you wouldn't want to eat in a taco.
Right.
And I gave this quote to, I think it was NPR, might have been Smithsonian Magazine, where I said, "Well, you wouldn't eat polar bear tacos, would you?"
No, no, you
Well,
wouldn't.
apparently, that was a little bit controversial, because I actually created a little bit of an issue with some of my colleagues who were doing some work in the Arctic, with communities who do in fact eat polar bears. Now, I don't know if they eat polar bear tacos. Maybe they eat polar bear
Hamburgers,
stew,
stew.
hamburgers. You know, different ways one can eat a
They
polar bear.
smoke. I wonder if
Uh,
they smoke polar bear
Smoke
because
it.
that's a popular
You
thing
like.
up there, up in the
I
Arctic.
feel like I've seen, like, you dry it and maybe do like some beef
Yeah,
jerky. That way, it, like, well, it
yeah.
wouldn't be beef jerky; it'd be bear
It'd be
jerky.
bear jerky.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's how you like. So, but people, people's culture are connected to these animals.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's part of their diet.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, just as you're describing how difficult it can be for polar bears to find a free lunch, it can sometimes be just as difficult for people living up in that part of the world to
Yeah,
find food. And that's
yeah.
the food that's available. So, you know, when you go to this policymaker and you say, "Hey, this is the thing that I want you to do," um, you got to make your recommendations based on more than just science, right? You know,
Right.
it's also um, how will this affect the people? And I think it actually ends up being more complicated than you would think.
Yeah.
Because even
Oh,
if
100%. 100%.
because it might not be a trade issue, right? It might not be a hunting issue. You know, clearly it's a climate issue.
Yeah.
Um, and what do you want me to do? So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Well, when you mentioned
no,
that
no,
point, sorry, go ahead. No, finish that point.
right.
Sorry, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, continue. I didn't have a point. I was going to say that I've started rambling.
No. I think you
Yeah,
make a very interesting point because I think, from the brief time that I was up for like very little times during the summers in the Beaufort Sea in Canada, just in the Northwest Territories there, Tuktoyaktuk and Inuvik. Um, a lot of times I was able to spend time on the boat with some other Nunavut folks, some colleagues of mine, and they were, they talked a lot about how they are allowed to hunt polar bears. It's very controlled, and it's subsistence. I'm having trouble pronouncing words today. And it's basically like for their own, like you get one quota and you get to spend it on how you want. You can hunt it, or you can get. Some people will pay. Hunters will pay to come down from the down south and pay a lot of money to hunt a polar bear. But it's very controlled, and it's only for the indigenous people that are up there, and which I agree with. Like that's how they hunt. Like, look, they've been hunting polar bears for a long time, and they've done it very properly. There's a lot of ceremony around it. There's a lot of knowledge around that in terms of how many they can take, and they're not being greedy about it like we have been, like as like Canadians have been in the past with other hunting in the past. So it's very controlled in terms of that hunting. But I mean, I think the scary thing is it, you know, where it gets really complex too, is there's other factors that are affecting polar bears. And something that we didn't talk about, I did an interview a number of years ago with one of the researchers, a postdoc from Polar Bears International, which is the major organization. It's almost like a conglomerate of researchers that do research on polar bears, not only in Canada and in the US, but all over the world and in the Arctic. And which, by the way, if people want to donate for International Polar Bear Day, we did put a link to Polar Bears International. You can help fund their programs just in the link down below. You can, in the description below, you can donate right there, and take a look on their site. That we'll show it a little bit we'll show it in a little bit. But what's interesting is that my whole point of this is that other things are affecting them. So air quality is actually affecting polar bears. When I did the interview, they noticed that in their hair follicles, they had a lot of chemicals, and that was coming from bad air quality from Ontario, southern Ontario, that was going up to the Hudson Bay, which is northern Canada in the Arctic, and affecting, like, they found, like, you know, metals and things like that in polar bears. And you know, obviously I would have made that connection, you know, the air quality coming in. So we have a lot of industry here in southern Ontario that goes up. It goes up to the Arctic, and it falls down, and it gets into the fur and into the animals, not just polar bears, but any other animal, and it gets into their system, and it's going to affect their overall health. So it's not just the lack of food, but they have that as well. I don't know what the percentage is in terms of what's affecting what. It's kind of difficult to figure out. Obviously, the food source is the big thing, but it gets, you know, it's very complex, and every population has their own set of problems and also advantages depending on where they are. And the Svalbard seems to be doing well, even though they're losing ice. There might be food elsewhere, you know, on land that's available, and they can survive that way. But long term, it doesn't seem very good for polar bears. But a lot of research is being done, and to kind of put into context in terms of like why polar bears are still like a powerful icon. You know, ice melts, and ice dependent predator will suffer, but ecosystems don't respond in headlines. They respond in gradients. So no matter what a headline says, that, hey, you know what, we're doing well, you know, some bears will be able to travel farther than others, you know, for whatever reason. And some, you know, may shift their denning patterns. You know, when they den, you know, mothers and babies will den, the cubs will den, and then the fathers will go out on the ice and hunt. Some regions are losing ice faster than others, so they may not be affected as much. So resilience is not necessarily like, you know, mean like immunity, or it doesn't mean immunity. It just adaptation can mean different things, and it can be a different safety net for each one. But I guess the real question is like, are polar bears doomed because of climate change overall? Like, when we look at the long term, if this continues the way we do it, are polar bears doomed? Like, what's your? I know we don't have a lot of research on polar bears. We're not part of Polar Bears International, but in terms of like your thought, if climate change continues the way it's going, and it seems like certain governments are making it harder for others, and even regular governments who are trying to follow a reduction in climate change or reduction in greenhouse gases aren't doing it fast enough. So we're kind of continuing on this way. Like, overall, I think the long term, for me, I feel like, you know, polar bears are vulnerable no matter what we do at this point, right?
Yeah, you know, I think extinction takes a long time, but I've been hearing about the vaquita for almost 20 years. I think the latest is that there's only 10 left.
But they found two.
I'm shocked.
They found a baby. They found a baby.
Alive? Okay,
they found
good.
a calf.
I thought you were going to say,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
no,
11.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11
less
vaquita.
than, pretty much.
But I can remember writing about this 20 years ago when blogs were still a thing, and we were doing blog carnivals. And you know, polar bears are going to, like, at a minimum, they're going to survive in zoos. But they have that conservation infrastructure. You know, there's Polar Bears International. There are organizations already around this. There are you know, people advocating one way or another for them to be managed under different environmental laws, right? So, you know, they're not doing as bad as the right whales in the Atlantic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm hopeful.
But when it comes, like, when these types of reports come out, or these type of stories come out where one population might be doing better, does it take away from the danger or the emergency of climate change when people like can people misuse it, like people like Tucker Carlson or people who,
Yeah.
you know, like in those types of venues, can they just or even oil and gas companies be like, hey, look, polar bears are doing fine, I don't know what you're talking about, and people watch that headline or look at that headline being like, actually, you know, they can change that headline to be like climate change being serious, or is it just, you know, a scare tactic? Polar bears in Svalbard are doing fine, or just polar bears in general are
Yeah.
doing fine, and generalize it.
I think if you're willing to change your opinion on climate change based on one news story or one scientific study, you probably weren't all that
For it.
convinced by climate change in the first place. And you know, for people who communicate it that way, they're probably cherry picking things just to confirm the opinion that they already have. Um,
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But I think like the biggest thing too is, I think for people who are listening to this and will watch this during or after the live, check out Polar Bears International. They're not sponsoring us. We have no connection to them. I just think it's cool. I actually went on their site today, and they have this interactive map where they're tracking bears. So believe it or not, the blue is land, and the white is ocean. So that's
okay,
Hudson
what
Bay right here.
Hudson Bay? So we're looking at
That's
Canada.
Hudson Bay. Yeah, you're looking at
Oh, so
Canada. This is Hudson Bay.
they're out on the water. They're out on the water.
Yeah, so they're out on the water right now,
Okay.
according to this. So there's Ontario, right? Quebec borders on it. Manitoba borders on it. It's a pretty big bay, obviously. Um, Interesting fact: we had a department store called the Bay, Hudson's Bay. It's now defunct, but
Okay.
we had it. Hudson's Bay was actually the pelt. It went back to the 18th century. So obviously a very big
Like
thing.
the Abercrombie of Canada. So for those of us who are not Canadian, like tell me a little bit
Yeah.
more at Hudson Bay. Like, is that usually frozen during the winter? Does it?
There's ice in the winter. I don't know if we get pack ice in the winter, but you'll definitely get a lot of ice floats. So at some point during the time, you'll get all the polar bears from the Arctic that are in this area, and they'll line up in Churchill, Manitoba. I don't know if they have Churchill on here. Churchill, Manitoba, and they'll come into the city and they'll line up and get on some ice floats and start swimming out to the ice floats, and basically that'll take it out into the Arctic Ocean. So like you'll see hundreds of polar bears at once. And sometimes you've seen videos of them when they are when they kind of come into Churchill and they start to interact. And there was one time there was a polar bear. I'm not sure if you saw this video. There was a polar bear that was actually like petting a dog, like it was like a sled dog that was outside. It was chained up outside, and people are like, "What's going on here? Are they friends? Are they not?" And
sounds like maybe he was tenderizing the dog.
well, that's what people say. Like sometimes they get eaten. It depends on how hungry they are, and sometimes they're just kind of interacting. That dog did not look comfortable. I'm going to tell you that right now. But unfortunately, these sled dogs are left outside, and they're chained up outside. They're safe and everything, but sometimes these polar bears get in. But this site is really cool because you can click on the different numbers, and those are tagged animals. This is Vicky. Vicky has 2 yearlings, 16 years old, adult. You can kind of go into all of it. What is the polar bear tracker? It goes into all this kind of stuff, but then you can follow the links and what date it was in. So this is November 25th. You know, the last sighting, I don't know when the last sighting is. I guess this is the last sighting, November 30th. This was a while ago, you know, and so you can view all the bears, and you can go in and look at this track. Looks like it's pretty recent, you know, so you can see that they're active in the bay only and come back on land, right? Or start off on land in October, and now they're out in the bay. This is February, December, January. So they're out there for quite a long time, feeding and sitting on these ice floats. You know, you got this guy who's been out. This is who's this? We don't have a name.
Do they mostly eat seals? Do they eat salmon too?
It'd be mostly seals, because they get the blubber from the seals. So this is very recent. So that's February 1st, and this is December 18th. So, you know, out there for quite a long time, December 5th. You know, and they line up. They seem to line up around here. This is Churchill, I think, here. That's October 31st. So they've been out there for a while, right? And they get pinged every once in a while. So yeah, a really cool interactive map, which I think is great. If you go on the the overall site, you can check out just all polar bear facts. You know, you can learn all about polar bears, you know, endangered status. You know, they are right now, they are considered, what are they considered here? ISIN, about 26,000 polar bears worldwide, which is not that much if you think about it. So yeah.
They were vulnerable 10 years ago when I made the comment about taco.
They are still vulnerable.
Vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what they are in Canada, if they're still considered vulnerable. They might be a little bit. And then you're looking at the subpopulations here. So it's a really great site. They do a lot of great research. I highly recommend that people go take a look and donate to this organization, because they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. So, and they do a lot of great work, and they have a lot of stuff out here on what they do and the team and everything like that. They have a lot of researchers working for them, more than you think, when it comes down to it. So yeah, let's move on to the next topic, which was your Scotland ocean science meeting.
Yeah,
so
it was great.
Just remind people what you went out for, and talk about your experience.
It was a quick trip. I went out for mostly for a workshop before the conference. Compass was hosting a 2-day training teaching scientists how to communicate their science. They've got this thing called the message box, and it just kind of it helps scientists kind of understand how to communicate their science to policymakers. And I took that training 10 years ago, and I've since been a trainer a couple of times. And basically what I do is I meet with the different scientists, a couple of them get assigned to me, and I work with them, and we play through some scenarios, and just talk about ways that they can communicate their science better to policymakers. In this case, they were also wanting to talk to small communities. And then I only went to the conference for one day. On Monday, I went to the conference, and in the morning, I went to this really cool session, and I forget who it was run by, but NOAA was one of the speakers. Schmidt Institute, the explorers were part of it, and it was on talking about science that doesn't often get a lot of attention. And it was like alkalinity in deep sea creatures, and it was just different stuff, and it was fun just to sit in and listen on that. But I was on a panel about communicating risk. And it's about how do you communicate risk to either a policymaker or to a community, so that it speaks, so that they understand the risk, and so that they understand how to respond to that risk. And I talked about deep sea mining in the Marianas, and the public comment periods that have happened. It was a 5-minute talk, so it was pretty quick. I actually posted it to my blog, my remarks, so I could share that in the chat. If anybody's interested. But it's kind of talked about how in November, nobody in these communities knew what deep sea mining was, and those of us who are environmental activists, we had to kind of communicate this in frames that our community understood, and then help them take action. And in this case, taking action was submitting comments to the Federal Register. And then I was back on an airplane coming back to DC. I got this beautiful new tartan scarf. It's actually, this was just for the conference. It was a special plaid that they made just for the conference. And it's got there's stripes in it. And the stripes add up to a number that was the date of when the Challenger launched in Scotland. And the Challenger was that vessel that discovered the Mariana Trench. So there's that's a small a Mariana Trench connection to this scarf.
That's fantastic.
And I'm pretty sure, and it was part of the story of the scarf was the Challenger. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only person from the Marianas who was at the conference, and there was 5,000 or 6,000 people who were there.
Crazy. So that's how many, It was a big conference like that?
Yeah, way much bigger than IMCC. They also had the craziest setup I have ever seen.
What do you mean?
It was, so when you go to IMCC, they've got all these different rooms, and you go into a room. Some are big, some are small. This conference had one room, broken up, not broken up, one room, no walls, with 8 sets of chairs, and like each set of chairs had maybe 200 chairs. So like 200, 200,
Okay.
200, 200. Every single person got headphones.
So
And
you're
you
listening
would
to that microphone. Ah.
and you would and so you would go sit down in front, and then like you would click through until you got to your session.
Yeah.
And it would be like, if so my presentation was in the kelp section, so ours was bright green, so the floor was bright green, and then everybody, the 200 people that were at my session, they all had these headphones on, and it was like a bright green light coming out of the side.
That's
And
amazing.
if you took your headphones off, like, and just kind of walked around, it was so quiet. It was so
Because
weird.
even the speakers, the microphone was going
Yeah,
into
speaking to the microphone.
the
Yeah.
earphones,
And
but they
like
weren't.
usually
But can
these
you
big
hear the
rooms,
speakers talk?
oh, it was perfect. It was like VR. I mean, like it worked. It was weird, but it worked.
But it worked. That's so cool.
It was kind of like, if you like a silent disco, where
yeah. You just see people dancing.
That's what it was. But for ocean science.
Let me ask you this. So you have the different setups, right? You said it was 8 setups. The person talking is still emitting a noise, even though the microphone is going into the earbuds or the earphones.
Like 8 people in this total in this giant room were talking. So like it was the room was quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Because even like you put on your headphones, like, so there was nobody like talking to each other. Because sometimes like you'll stand in the back and like you'll be like, you talk to your friend and you tell jokes.
Yeah.
None of that was really happening.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's cool. I've never seen that before. Like, because we had it like at Nice, like at the Ocean Decade Conference. They had it one big room, but there was no, like, you were in like smaller, like,
that was a tiny room.
Like tiny room within a larger room. Yes.
This was an airplane hangar.
Oh,
massive hall.
Yeah. Because if you're fitting 200 seats in, like, for 8 setups, 8. That's got to be pretty big. Yeah. That's pretty big. Yeah.
Wow. But the different Ocean Sciences meeting is like a science conference.
Yes.
And so it was scientists. And there weren't.
You say that like it was a bad thing.
No, but I mean,
you're saying, it's scientists, damn scientists.
I'm not a scientist, right? I go to a lot of conferences where it's interdisciplinary.
Yeah, for sure.
Indigenous fishermen talking to a scientist, talking to a lawmaker, and that's kind of where I'm comfortable, because those are the types of places that I've gone to. And like, I don't have, I've got my name on a couple of papers. I authored one myself. I was the first author.
Yeah.
So like I can play in the sandbox, right? But like I'm not a real scientist. I'm a guy. Just like I'm not a real athlete, but I do exercise now and then.
I do athletic stuff.
I play softball with my 50-year-old friends.
Not for the drinking beer too, because you don't drink beer, so you do it actually for the athleticism.
I drank in Europe because I don't know if you do this. It's Europe, but they also make this thing called Scotch in Scotland.
You showed it to me. And I wonder where they got the name. That's crazy.
And I went to a bar and I tried on the recommendation of a friend. So I was only doing it, because it was recommended. But
so did you go by yourself, or did you go with some of the people that you were there with? Like,
I went with Compass and stuff. Some of the colleagues.
Nice.
Yeah, I wasn't just drinking alone in a Scottish bar, just be like, give me another Scotch.
Hey, people do it. I don't know. But no, I think it's great. Like, did you find, like, for the workshop, for the Compass workshop, do you find people got a lot out of it? Like, after they
I hope so. I hope so. Like I do find that the message box is a good tool. And it's a way of it's kind of like telling jokes. Like there's a way to tell jokes. The setup, the punchline, the callback. And talking to policymakers is the same. It's like, who's your audience? What's the
Mm-hmm.
message? Why do they
Mm-hmm.
care? How is this going to affect them? And you eventually kind of do that in your head, and you don't need to write it
Yeah.
down. But for scientists, like you go to college and they teach you how to use R, but they don't teach you how to talk. They don't teach you how to
It's
sell
true.
something.
It's true.
And in order for your science to have policy impact, you have to be able to communicate your science.
Yep.
And some people are just good at it, right? But
Yep.
others, you learn sort of the basics, and you practice it a little bit, and it's practice, practice, practice. I mean, look at this
Absolutely.
podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Eventually, this will be good. This will eventually be a great show.
Eventually, we'll have like 20 people watching while we're live.
Amazing.
It'll be, and we'll be like, "Holy cow, we've done it! We've made it! We've made it!" Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be wonderful. All right, so there was what, a quick turnaround. You were there for like 4 days.
Yep.
4 days.
3 whole days. 4 nights.
3 whole
3
days. All right. Now
and
your
then
overall
you're going-
experience of but your overall experience, how would you rate it at that conference?
Over 5, under 10.
Out of 10. Okay.
Under 10.
Okay.
Yeah, but over not better than average.
You were fairly busy too,
Yeah.
like in the work. Was the workshop one day or was it multiple days?
It was 2 days. They're 12-hour days.
Yeah. So that's a busy time. So you don't necessarily have time to go out and venture out into the conference and did you see people you knew there, like that you hadn't seen in a while, or any IMCC people that were there that we haven't seen in a while?
The Compass people were there. I ran into some. I ran into some folks that I was working with at the National Academies a while back.
Nice.
But no, I didn't see. I didn't.
Because it's a lot of science people too, though.
Because it was just a lot of people too, right? It's just thousands of people that wasn't there for long enough.
Yeah. Do you prefer the big conferences or the little conferences?
For me, like the best work trip is like the 20 people workshop. Especially where like where you're working towards something.
Yeah.
So like you're working towards a paper, or you're working towards like some kind of a document, and or you're planning, and it's part of a larger project. I like, for the big science conferences, I like to go, and it's kind of like flipping channels on TV, because it's like, you kind of figure out which channels you want to pay attention to, and you go to the things that interest you.
Yeah.
But then you also see your friends. I also like I also feel like I'm at this point in my career where I don't want to go to conferences where I don't know everybody. Like I want to go to the conferences where I see my friends who I haven't seen in a long time.
Yep.
And for me professionally, that's a lot of marine protected area and shark type people.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like I went to back in October or November, I went to the European Elasmobranch Society.
Oh, how was that?
That's a great little conference.
Where was it? It was in Europe.
It was in the Netherlands. It was in Rotterdam, and it's every year, and it's in a different country every year. A different European Elasmobranch Society hosts it every year.
Yeah.
It was in Greece the year before. I forget where it's going to be next year. But this is the third time I've been, and I forget if I was invited to speak the second time. I was, yes. I've been invited to speak 3 times, and anyways, yeah. But like that one's probably about 100 people, 150 people.
Okay.
So still larger than that 20-person one, but you do get to spend a few minutes with friends, and you have a drink, you have a beer, you have a dinner.
Yeah, that's great. I love that aspect. I'm just trying to see when it's actually when it's gonna be.
It's usually in the fall. They might not. You're also assuming that they're organized enough
they posted it right away. Yeah, this one's posted like 2024, so I don't know, but
IMCC is also one of my favorites. It's bigger, it's 800 people, but I've been to 3 now. I went to St. John's, Malaysia, South Africa, and I feel like I know a lot of the community members who go to that one. And it's like a family reunion.
100%. I missed the South African one, the last one.
Yeah.
But my goal is to attend this one coming up in Edinburgh, right? Edinburgh.
I plan to go. I want to do I want to run a workshop, or either a workshop or a symposium on deep sea threats to the deep sea.
Ooh, we can get Andrew Thaler and Diva Amon on that.
Maybe Diva. I mean, that Thaler guy. Yeah, it's the call for events ends on March 6th. We'll drop the link, but you can you can do like a workshop, which is usually before the conference, and it's closed member, or it could be open or closed workshop. And then you can do an open or closed symposium. And open being anybody can sign up, whereas if it's closed, you invite the specific people to come talk. But yeah, I've been involved in deep sea mining issues a lot the last 6 months. So
it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to continue with the amount. I think they just opened. What we talked about, I think last time they opened up RFI for Alaska as well. So it's not going to stop anytime soon in the U.S. anyways, and worldwide as well. But I think I've talked to David Schiffman, who is a good friend of ours and colleague, and we might be putting in one, or he might be putting in one for kind of like an ocean communication one. So that'll be good. Talk about different things. I don't know what the status of that. I have to talk to him about the status of that. But I'm going to be going to one that's close by, and it's called World Ocean Summit, which is very cool. Yeah, it's a big one. It's by The Economist, the magazine. I have never heard of this before. It's the 13th one. I had no idea. But it's kind of in my backyard. It's in Montreal, Quebec, which I love. My parents lived there for a bit. My brother was born in Montreal. We enjoy the food in Montreal. And so I'm going, got myself a nice little Airbnb. I'm taking my mom with it because we got some friends and family there to take a look at. But this is going to be, I'll show you some of the program and who's speaking.
Yeah, this one's prestigious.
This one, there's some pretty high-end people here. I think it starts a lot with a lot of corporate stuff, but then it goes into, there's a keynote. President Palau.
There's the first minority.
Yeah. And then you have The Economist. Then you have Minister of Fisheries, Papua New Guinea.
I was on the stage with him at Our Ocean in Greece. We were on the stage.
Was he on the stage with you that time? Is that the one on
I think
video?
I was on the stage. I think I was on the stage with him.
Oh, right on. And then we have Grenada. The government of Grenada is going to be there, talking about fireside chat, like climate change, coastal economies. We've got, I know Dawn's going to be there, like Deep Sea Dawn.
There's going to be no fireplace, and so you could call it a fireside chat. But why at an ocean conference? Why wouldn't you call it a beachside chat?
Exactly.
There's no fire.
There's a port right there. You could call it a portside chat.
Portside chat.
And you can serve port while you do it, so make it like.
Do they drink that?
On the, yeah, you drink that. Oh yeah,
That's
you drink everything in Montreal.
Let me tell you. Okay, all right.
You drink everything in Montreal. So we have some people from Fisheries and Oceans, Environmental Defense Fund. Oh, Amanda Leland. I had her on the podcast. I read her book. Have you ever read this book, Sea Change? This one right here?
I have not.
That's a great book. You should read it. You should buy it. It's a great book.
I'm reading the Expanse books right now. I just finished book 2.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool things that are going on. And I think there's going to be a lot of cool, like talk about reduce and reuse, like plastic pollution. There's going to be it seems like it's touching everything.
Yeah.
So it's a very overview kind of thing. What's that?
This looks like the type of conference where everyone wears a suit.
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm a scientist. I'm not going to wear a suit. I'm going to wear flip-flops and socks. They have Oceanic Canada is going to be there.
I think you should wear a suit. I think you should bring a suit. This looks like the kind of conference where you wear a suit.
Is
at least a jacket?
Conference?
Yeah, you don't have to wear a tie, but you should wear a jacket.
Okay, and like suit pants. I have one suit.
And you're
So I'll wear
good
that
flip
soon.
flops, not the cheap ones. The
You
flip
act
flops.
like I have more than one flip flop. Like one
You
type.
should.
I have one.
The
I
flip
wear one.
flops. The
And
flip
they're more of
flops
a
you would wear to
slide.
a wedding.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're more of slides. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff. Blue Economy, a lot of fireside chats, which will be.
They should have beachside chats. Maybe you should. That should be your first email to them. Make the recommendation.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Christine Ward Page. I've talked to her a number of times, never met her in person. She's going to be talking about this. This is the Ocean Changemaker Challenge, so she's been considered a change maker, which is great.
Yeah, she's great. I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met her in person. So that's the, and then the next day it's 2 days. It's really quick, very overview type. Well, that was the Thursday. This is the Wednesday. Here it is. So we have the Minister of Fisheries there. So like some pretty high end people, and definitely people I've had on my bucket list to have on the podcast. So I might be able to do some cool like little clips of interviews. And I'm going to be doing this. Nina Latinga is putting on a conference. I'm going to be doing some work, a workshop. I'm going to be doing some work with her. Doing a lot of
white people on these panels.
A lot of white people on these panels.
There's Don.
There's Don Wright. Tim Kearns used to be my old remote sensing teacher. Tim Kearns. He's done some pretty great things. So yeah. You know, it'll be Ken Paul. I worked with him. I did an interview with him in September with Oceans Networks Canada. He's a great guy. Represents Indigenous people. Does a lot of Indigenous work.
Man, Charles Goddard is going to be very thirsty by the end of all this.
He's talking a lot.
Moderating a lot of these panels.
He is. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see a lot of big NGOs here. A lot of big NGOs here in Canada. Lynn Morissette, I know her. I get to see her. Yeah, so it's going to be cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can go through. Oh, Jane Lubchenco's going to be there too.
Yeah.
Which will be cool to see Jane and Dawn together again, because they used to teach at Oregon, right?
Oregon State University.
Oregon State.
Dawn is. I heard Jane is back at OSU. I think Dawn is at Esri, but she's still a professor, like officially. I think.
She's brilliant.
I'm not in academia. I don't know how that works.
No, but she's definitely brilliant. She's everywhere. I remember meeting her part of a listserv, a GIS listserv, looking at like regional areas for listservs. So she's fantastic. Okay. Jane Lubchenco is like.
Yeah, I'll show you something. Don gave me this keychain. This is the security dongle for my phone.
Okay.
And I met Dawn a couple years ago because she went to the Mariana Trench and I'm a board member for the Friends of the Mariana Trench. Yeah. When we met, she was like, "I'm from Baltimore. I heard you like baseball. Here's a keychain."
That's fantastic.
And I use it every day.
I love it. Yeah. So a lot of great people here, which will be nice to see. Yeah. So I'm excited. So I haven't been to a conference in a while, my friend. Recommendations?
France in June.
What's that?
I mean, come on. France. You went to France in June. Like, that was less than a year ago. Oh, tiny violin. I haven't been to a conference since the giant UN conference in France.
This is like the biggest conference of the year. Yeah, but I think that wasn't your typical conference. This may not be your typical. I guess I consider IMCC your typical conference, like science conference kind of thing.
It's been 9 months since you went to a conference. So
all right.
Go have a good time, eat some food, make some friends.
I think this is the one where I know of a lot of people. I don't know as many people as like I normally do when I go. Although I know I have a good amount that I haven't met in person, but we will meet in person this time, so it'll be good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I will give Charles Goddard some water when I see him because as you say,
he's gonna be thirsty.
He's gonna be very thirsty. on that day. But it looks like it's a jam packed. Like it goes right. Oh, Rashid Somali will be there too. Or Samelo, he'll be there too. I haven't met him in person either. So yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be a lot of Canadians, a lot of like some Americans, but it'll be fun.
Are you gonna do fitness? You didn't ask me about fitness while I was at the conference.
Sorry, I meant to, because I texted you a couple times. I was like, "Have you done fitness?" You didn't do any of it.
No, I did. But I brought outfits. I thought I was gonna like do fitness all 4 days.
Yeah.
But I got there at Friday at like 2 p.m. and I had a dinner at 5. And I could have gone running, but then I knew I'd be exhausted for dinner. So I decided to take a nap. So I slept for 3 hours, went to dinner at 5.
Yeah.
And then, didn't get back to like 9 and then went to bed. And I slept really well. And I got up around 7. Yeah, but slept like 10 hours, got up.
Nice.
And then it was a 12-hour day. It was from 8 to 8 to 9, all day. Didn't run. I was like, oh, Phil, that's 2 days where I didn't exercise. And then on the third day, an 8-hour day, and we were going to meet up afterwards. And I had a small window where I could have gone back to the hotel, changed my clothes, exercised, showered, changed, and I didn't. I just kept going. So that was 3 days.
What'd you do instead?
Well, that might have been the night of the scotch. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And then on day 4, that is the day that I got my sneakers on and ran.
Good for you.
In the park. So
good for you, because you could have said on the 4th day, you know what? Like, I haven't done it for 3 days. Maybe I'll just let this 4th day go and not do it. You could have done that. There could have been so many excuses you could have come up with, but you ended up doing it on the 4th day. Good for you. Good for you.
And then go ahead. And
you go ahead. Go ahead.
And then I came home and I'm back on the saddle.
Nice. I went to the gym this week. I'm proud of myself. I went to the gym at 8 p.m. I was by myself. We have a small CrossFit gym, but then you can go on hours where nobody's there to allow for more people to have access. And did some light stuff, did a lot of lifting, squats, deadlifts, shoulder press, bench press. And then when I got home, got on the treadmill at an incline of 10 and then just walked for 45 minutes. I've been doing a lot of that, and I find that's actually helped. I actually feel a lot better when I do it. And I do it at night. I found that nighttime is my best time to do the work, to do the workout. And it kind of relaxes me, gets me going, gets my heart rate up, and then I get to take the dogs for a walk, or I'll go on the treadmill, and I'm good. So
for me, it's 11. I like to exercise at 11 a.m. or 3 p.m.
Oh yeah, that's your time.
Those are my times.
Okay, but when you're at work, how do you do that? Do you get home before that?
I don't. That's when I like to exercise.
Gotcha. Yeah, those are ideal times because you're kind of still woken up, like your body's kind of moving at 11. 3 p.m. it's like you're not too tired, and I find 3 p.m. is a good time because it'll get your adrenaline going and it won't make you feel sleepy during that 3 to 5 p.m. kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that's my prime snacking time, 3 to 5 p.m. So to get to the gym, you don't want to snack.
Also, I've been doing like 56 minutes, and then a little stretching, little weights sometimes. I've also like just not purposely cut back on the snacking, just not doing it. Like I have just not doing it because I don't know if I have the time. I've also I'm not playing video games, and like that wasn't a choice either. It's just
like busy.
Don't have the time. Yeah, busy.
Yeah.
My life is improved, is what I'm saying.
But busy doing what? Is it because of work, or is it like you're just busy getting out on the town?
Yeah, I just don't feel like playing video games, or I don't feel like snacking. So it's.
Do you snack when you play video games? That's the big thing.
So I like to. You're playing, and then you die, and that's when you eat something. Or
gotcha. What are you playing? What kind of video games are you playing?
What was I playing? I actually just picked up The Witcher again.
Oh, okay.
Witcher 3, because I've got some god awful amount of hours in it, and I just kind of picked it up because I think I still have probably hundreds of hours to go.
Gosh.
So that is the most recent game that I picked up.
Okay. See, I got a PlayStation 5 like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I play only sports games like hockey and NFL. That's the only, like, in Madden. Those are the only 2 games I play, but I love it. I love the fact because it gets me off my phone when I watch TV. So at night I play it. I'll play like a couple of hockey games and I'll do like a season. So it's like 85 games. And then I just kind of do it. And I try and match like I do, like, because they're fast games. They're done in like 15 minutes each. So I'm playing for like 45 minutes and then I go to bed. But yeah, I tried and match the dates of the games to the dates. I'm a little behind though. I'm definitely not in February. I'm probably in early January right now. But I've been busy too. So but I love playing. Yeah, it's kind of fun. But I've been watching movies while I'm on the treadmill because I walk. So
cool.
Yeah. So watch Liar Liar.
I listen to music.
Oh yeah,
music.
Nice.
With these headphones.
With those headphones, those look nice. I like those.
Thank you, dude.
All right, we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up for today. And we probably won't be doing it next week just because I'll be at the conference. Okay. If I can do it from the conference, I will, but I might be busy with the conference.
Oh, we can do it early.
We will talk to you guys soon. But if not, we will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, Angelo. And thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to go to the Polar Bears International website to donate to their great work. And we will talk to you soon. From Angelo and I, happy conservation.